Hey Neely, how are you today?
Good, Peter. It's good to be here. How are you?
Good to see you again. So you've got some things going on, and recently, what can you tell us before we dive into the Jason Becker thing, which of course I want to cover? Your involvement with Danny Elfman. That's
Yeah, thanks. It actually happened in 2020, like right before the world blew up. Um, I teamed up with that band in the plan of doing the Coachella thing. And then I had one rehearsal, and then we all know what happened after that, as that was last March. So we kind of had to wrap things up really quickly, and it was really strange for me because I was the last band member to be hired. So for me, it was like almost like it disappeared as quickly as it happened. And all of a sudden, I was like, wait a second, wait, what is this real? Like, was that real? Did that even, like, we had this joke, like, did those rehearsals even happen?
right.
But but the cool, really amazing thing about Danny is that, he made this really seem like, hey, like, we're a band, and this was, I think, for us kind of almost like a bonding experience. And he ended up writing this whole record for us to record that probably wouldn't have happened, or at least wouldn't have happened then, and the subject matter too. It's a lot about COVID, a lot about the political climate that we've had in the last few years and everything. So it's
Right.
very much like, his 2020 album that when I first heard the demos, I was just kind of like, this is what people are going to look back at and think that's how people felt in 2020, like it just so described, like it was really the sound of the times to me. So
Sure.
for me, it was really interesting timing, but I felt so lucky that it happened when it did, because I probably wouldn't have met him otherwise, or maybe, like, just if it wasn't that moment, I don't know, you know what I mean? And so I felt like it really, like, kind of kept me sane last year. It was like my one
Right.
thing to be like, okay, like, there's hope at the end of this tunnel. There's really great people, and he's such an amazing person. He just kind of gave me faith in humanity, really, not just the industry, but just that things were going to be cool, and whenever that's going to happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I thought it was a cool development when I first heard about it because him, even when I was younger and Oingo Boingo first kind of hit the scenes, there was always a difference between, like, you had pop bands and then
Yeah.
kind of interesting songs, but then you sometimes heard bands like that and you're like, wait, these guys are like really creative musicians.
Right.
That's not
Right.
a
They make
pop
their
band.
own style almost.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a pop band. These are
Right.
artists who are really doing something
Yeah.
unique. And you can
Hmm.
always tell a difference. But so I,
Yeah, and it's like, even with that band, it's like not one set genre, you know what I mean? It's like it's spans through the years and through different influences and sounds and ideas and everything. And so I think you could tell how versatile he was even back then, like
sure.
before he even thought he'd be a film composer. So
Right.
knowing the history, but also like really placing it in the context of everything, it's just like makes the whole story even more amazing. I'm like, man, this dude, like, he knew even before he knew, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's just like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Now
love it.
is it you explore a lot of new sounds with your own stuff, but did that give you some insight into, like, ooh, I want to go off in these trippy areas?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, sure. Like, I've always been a fan of film music in general, and he was always one of my favorites aside from that. But yeah, just the fact that he is so experimentative, if for nothing else, it definitely reassures me that it's the way to go in a way. Yeah, because my experimentation with different styles and that kind of thing was always something that I was interested in. But with the community that I've been a part of, it was always like, oh, how is this going to be taken? Are people going to be open to this? This is the guitar community. And I've always been lucky that the guitar community has really accepted what I've done, even if it was different. But like, just as an artist and as someone who takes chances, it was just like, wow, like, it's good to see him, so someone like him, that, like, he is that way. It kind of makes it easier to know, like, okay, like, there's legends that, like, have paved the way and shown that this is okay, like, before I asked that question.
Right.
So
Right. But you get to
yeah.
firsthand experience it, which is always better than just reading about it.
Oh, sure. I mean, man, like I said, even when I already knew him and was rehearsing with him, I didn't think that I'd be recording with him necessarily or so soon. And so just that experience was just kind of like, okay, like soak up as much of these couple of days as possible, because it's like you can't, I mean, money doesn't buy being a fly on the wall in a situation like that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, now's the time to really open your ears and try to learn something.
Now, speaking of experimentation, like Spectrum, you had a lot more, to my ears, like electronica and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially going in the background, like Retractable Intent. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the title, Gentrification. What a
Mm-hmm.
great title. But you kind of experiment with some of that. Um, and that's cool, and I like it. But then when you turn around and do things like Andalusian Fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
when you write more like traditional, or like in that case like more of a flamenco type thing, is that a direct reaction, like, okay, I'm kind of exploring and going out here, I need to kind of break up the create and change genres so my album's kind of balanced? Is it a conscious thing on your part, or is it just like, no, this is a cool thing I came up with?
No, it was actually like an afterthought. It was one of those things where most of the melodies on that album I heard in my head first, and I kind of jotted down by singing them into my phone, which is primarily the way that I work now. And it became clear to me that each one of those songs was kind of in a different style. And some of those songs were asking me for the lead melody to be played by an accordion, or a violin. It was just like very clear in my mind that it wasn't all the same guitar album kind of stuff. And I had a moment where I just kind of thought like, okay, well, I'm not going to phone these songs in and turn them into something that I don't musically think they should be, because I need to please the guitar album thing, whatever that looks like. So at first I kind of thought, all right, well, this doesn't even seem like they all belong on one record, even if I'm happy with all of them and I go down the path of each one where it leads me. And that's how the idea of Spectrum was born, is when I realized that, like, okay, no, wait a second, like these songs do have more in common with each other than it seems, and they really do flow from one to the next and kind of blend through the genres. So it was really the effect and not the cause for me.
Okay, that's interesting. So sorry, here my dog is dreaming in the background.
Oh, I think
He's kind of,
that's so cute when they do that.
yeah,
I
he
love
thinks
that.
he's, I think he thinks he's chasing an antelope or something, but
Is he going like?
he's doing that little
I just love that so much.
yeah. He thinks he's fast, he's not.
Aww.
Let's touch on the fundraiser, which I think is still going on.
Oh yeah.
For Jason Becker.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you appeared, obviously, Herman Lee's spearheading a lot of the Twitch streams and stuff for that.
Yeah.
How did that go? Now, I think I'm going to skip over a lot of stuff because I think a lot of my audience of this channel is probably aware of Jason, his playing and his situation. But of course, Jason rose to prominence with Cacophony and David Lee Roth, and was diagnosed with ALS. But he's been fighting that for 30 years. I mean, just a long time. And it's unbelievable that he's still.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I know.
And heartbreaking too, but also like inspiring. The he has to have. But so this is a fundraiser for his family and just in general, just to help.
It's really to cover his medical costs. And the idea is we hope that Jason will never have to worry about medical bills or money again. And I think this fundraiser is really going to be bringing that in, because I mean, they've already raised a bunch. I don't know where it's at this week, but last week when I did the stream with Herman, it was already close to 20,000.
Awesome.
And they haven't started selling guitars yet. So I know that, I'd asked Herman how long they're planning to keep it going. And he said they don't even really have an end date in sight. They're happy to, and Jason's always accepting donations anyway, but they really want to see how long it's interesting to people, and right. how long, because there's so many great players involved. And that's the thing, is that they have not even started selling guitars yet. And just about every guitar hero that you can imagine has donated a guitar to sell, to auction off. And there's a Reverb page that I can't remember if it's live yet or not, but they're basically going to have like a massive guitar collector's dream of an auction, and right. I can't imagine not bringing in a lot of money for Jason. And yeah. I think
Which
they want to make it like a yearly thing, or you know, like, so I think it's gonna be going on for a minute.
well, good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And of course, I've never interviewed Herman. He always seems like a good guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. Yeah.
Had you ever met him before and played with him?
Hmm.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
never played with him, but I met him, like, I've known him for a long time because he's a big McAlpine fan. So when
Makes
we
sense.
played in England, he was still living out there, and we met up there and stuff. And yeah, he's a super super nice guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's jamming with a different person like a couple of times a week on that thing. We were on there for almost 3 hours. It was crazy. He's doing that like all the time. It's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah. He'll be
Streaming
like
takes a whole other thing out of you, I think, you know?
he'll be in like tour shape by the time he's done with this.
Oh, yeah, for
Three
sure.
hours a day. Yeah. It's such a worthy cause. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm older than you, and obviously, but so I was aware of Jason Becker, but I think and him and Marty Friedman and all that, but the really album when he got with David Lee Roth was the first album I really dug into, and I already knew he was but when A Little Ain't Enough came out, I was like, holy hell, like it's just I didn't know how to describe, like it's so tasteful and a shredder, like
Yeah, I know.
just it's the perfect thing, and just to see it just all was just over, but it was just like I don't know, but for people who don't have never really dug in his playing, it was so much more than this guy can play fast. It was just
Oh, yeah, of course.
just one of the just most inspiring players ever. But
I can't even imagine what it must have been like to just have watched it happen, you know, as just like your favorite musician, you know, like by the time I started playing guitar, I don't already knew who Jason was as it pertains to ALS. He was already sick, you know, so I can't imagine watching the decline, being close to him, or being a fan, or just knowing the story or anything. Just like, goddamn, you know, like the documentary probably doesn't begin to describe the amount of pain it brought so many people. So,
and to think also, and you've met Jason, but I feel it worth pointing out that also you should bear in mind the strength of the family.
Oh yeah, no, that's huge. That's a huge
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah.
the day-to-day 24/7 commitment.
Of course.
The has to go into that. It's unbelievable. So what have you got new going on the horizon? I mean, hopefully we're going to see somewhat easing up of things. I don't know if it'll be this year, but hopefully next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get back out there as soon as it feels safe. You know, I'm working on it to the best of our knowledge of when it can be. I mean, we're hoping by the end of the year. I don't know, but you know, whenever it is for everyone, I guess. But I'm writing a lot of new stuff. I had a single come out in the last summer now, I guess. But what I really want to do now is, like, even though I'm kind of working on my next album, I definitely want to start releasing at least some of the songs as singles, just so that they get out there faster, and that I put out stuff that's still fresh to me and doesn't feel like, oh, it's going to be like 3 years old by the time this record comes out or whatever.
Sure.
And it can still be a record later on, because it still kind of has this concept album-y kind of a vibe of, like, this song really has to come before this, and this really tells a story and whatever. But that shouldn't stop me from being able to release some new music. So I definitely want to get some stuff out there. And I've just been, you know, doing a bunch of collabs with different people, and doing like JTC guitar courses and other teaching things with Jennifer Batten, and
Right.
Her thing called the Guitar Cloud Symposium, which is an online, basically like weekend guitar camp that she does once a month now. So I've just been kind of doing different things and trying to put stuff out there. But as far as shows are concerned, you know, everybody's guess is as good as everybody else's, I guess.
I want to make sure everybody knows, as usual, where to find you on social media, where you're most active, that kind of thing. Where's the best place to keep track? Obviously, your official website, but.
Yeah, my official website, which is nilibrosh.com. I know how to spell my name. And Instagram and Facebook are the most popular avenues for everyone, I guess, right? But My IG is my full name again, Nili Brosh, and then my Facebook is Nili Brosh Music, or facebook.com/Nili Brosh Music. Yeah, easy enough.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Logical name. Well, cool. And I'll be sure to keep up with whenever we hear more inklings of the new music coming from you. I'll be looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, I hope it's soon. I just sent my producer some stuff today that like I finished demoing, and I'm like, man, it feels so good to just to finish the new compositions, even if you know that it's going to be a minute before you really hash them out and turn them around and see what they become. But at the same time, like knowing that just as far as the writing process goes, that you finished something as far as finished goes for you right now, it always feels like you really did something, even if it doesn't feel real yet.
Well, cool. It's always good to talk to you, and be sure to
You
keep
too,
the rest of
Peter.
the thing. Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.